It is always the way. I hope you managed to see the herd of kudu that were just down here drinking. And as soon as they hear Mark say live, they all disappear. It's always the way. Well, welcome everybody. Welcome to Djuma Game Reserve here in South Africa on our live safari this afternoon. And I hope we've got a few new viewers, and any viewers that were watching this morning, welcome back on board if you were watching. And welcome to everybody who wasn't able to see this morning's drive. You missed a fantastic one, and I'm hoping we might have a repeat. We did have Induna sitting with his father, Yambidi Odan, in the same tree together. Absolutely incredible, about a metre away from each other. And also we had hyenas chasing each other around the vehicle. One even nearly ran into the vehicle at one stage, on a couple of occasions actually. And then to top it all off, we actually had the Matimba male lions and elephants actually coming through there and chasing those lions from their slumber. So it really was quite a full-on action-packed afternoon or morning and afternoon for other people across the world. But we are here at Treehouse Dam. I thought we'd open up somewhere differently this afternoon, and we've actually got the fourth at the big five on our list. So I'm going to pull forward so you can see them. But I did forget to say, I did it again, didn't I? My name's Tara. Joining me on camera, see, I'm so excited. Joining me on camera is Becky, and back in front of control is Mark. If you would like to send through any questions this afternoon, please do. It is always great to hear from you, and that is questions@djuma.com. So I'm going to pull forward and you can see who it is. Now, I do plan on going back to the Matimbas, but I think we'll go back a little bit later on because it's incredibly hot here. So our best bet is to check the dams for any movement or animals wallowing in mud and drinking water. Just like these guys. So the fourth... It's very bright. It is very bright. Actually, maybe I should go over a little bit further over and then we won't get the reflection of the sun. So we had lion, leopard and elephant this morning. So I was hoping maybe it would be a big 5 day. So we've got the fourth at the big 5. So we need to keep our eyes peeled for a rhino as we drive around today. Actually, there's a couple on the road. That might be our best bet now. To see the zebra too. These are African buffalo, otherwise known as the buffalo. I do have my trusty thermometer saying just under 30 degrees in the shade. You, it's definitely not 30 degrees out of the shade. The shade it probably is correct. Just let him cross the road. Oh, you can see him. Okay, good. So these are different to Asian buffalo, and actually, genetically speaking, they are worlds apart. The Asian buffalo, otherwise known as water buffalo. Oh, he's missing half his horn. I'm just going to pull forward a bit. I actually just didn't want to disturb those one crossing the road. I'll just pull forward just slightly. Now there is such a thing as forest buffalo, which is another species of buffalo found here in Africa. That's found, as the name suggests, in the forest. Tends to be a lot redder in colour and a little bit smaller than the savanna buffalo. Probably about 600 kilos on average, whereas these guys you're looking at maybe up to about 800 kilos, and for some big males maybe even a ton. Ah, yes. Oh, he's actually just gone underneath. So that little wader that we were trying to ID the other day is there. I was actually going to look out for him. Unfortunately, he's just underneath the buffalo's chin. So we'll see if we can try and zoom in on it and get a nice picture. There he is. So it's either a green shank or woodland sandpiper. No, don't move. This bird just doesn't want to be ID'd. So one of the big differences is the size. The woodland sandpiper, probably just a little bit bigger. It's about 30 centimetres apparently, just a little bit bigger than the three-banded plover. And the green shank is a lot larger. If I can get the size for you. Oh, about 19, 20 centimetres for the wood sandpiper. Tends to be a little bit more spotted than the green shank. Green shank about 30, 34 centimetres. It does look quite spotted on the back. See, I was leaning towards the green shanks. I thought it was actually a little bit larger, but just looking at the back, it does look quite spotted. And so, unfortunately, I'm not great on my waders. It's one of the bird families I'm very poor with. So, if anybody wants to send through their suggestions, yeah, I'm seeing spots now actually. And a slightly upcurved bill. And the legs do look quite bright. Yeah, it just says paler than green spotted sandpiper with more obvious pale spots above. White ivory small. I'm still playing hide and seek with the buffalo, is it? I think I'm actually going for the wood sandpiper now. You might be able to hear the oxpeckers flying in as well. Mostly just old dugger boys, old males. Quite a large number of them. I was hoping with all the dung on the road it might have been a large group of females. It looks like the boys have come together just to chill out in the water. Especially as they get older, their fur does start to thin out. You can see actually on the back where some of them have been rolling in the mud and actually some of them haven't, and you can see that difference in the patches of fur that are missing. So they do need to have some form of protection, and that's one of the reasons why they do roll in the mud, sit in the water. And especially as we're going into summer, we're going to be seeing that a lot more. Okay, well, shall we leave them to their bathing? And thanks to Ed also sending through about a herd of elephants at Gowrie Dam. It'd be nice to catch up with them. Hello, zebra. See them nicely there. Let's see that there. Now these guys are actually able to take in very poor nutritional food, food that doesn't have a very high nutritional value, but they need to eat a lot of it. Whereas the buffalo don't need to eat maybe as much for the size that they are, but they do need to eat good quality food because they do have a four-chambered stomach just like the cows, the domestic cow, which again they're quite distantly related to. So the zebra is known as a hindgut fermenter, and someone was asking what animals eat dung the other day, and the zebra young is actually one of those animals that will eat dung to gain the bacteria that it needs in its cecum or caseum, however you want to say it. The normal way of saying caseum, is it? No, cecum, sorry. It's me that says caseum. Because I like to say things differently. That bacteria is vital for breaking down cellulose inside the grass that they eat. So the young will actually eat the mother's dung, that bacteria. Stations leaving Shlambia Vinyari, open lock at Treehouse Dam. Affirmative. Oh, beautiful kudu there. Brown. two there. Two kudu bulls and a few females. What are you watching? I didn't notice anything over there. Did you see anything over there?
No.
Because she was looking and so was he.
Northwest of the house there.
Sorry, I missed the first part of that message.
The journey of Giraffe
Oh.
is west of the Mshambi Nyari Dajubu.
Okay, copy, thanks. I'm pretty sure this is the same group that were down there just drinking moments ago. But something has definitely caught her attention. Maybe we should actually go back over the dam, just see if there is anything there. Yeah, it sounds like the lions are quite well hidden out of sight at the moment. Texan's going to have a look. The buffalo, because he is actually directly in line with her side now. So the buffalo haven't seen anything, or they were all over here. Maybe that is what she was watching. The rest of the video didn't seem too good. Birds just sitting in the tree behind you. There's one. Oh, he was better. There you go, away bird just sitting right in the tree next to us. Yeah. not fully convinced. I'm just going on the size. Ah, that's quite a nice view through there. See him alright through there. Or her. Oh, she's turning now. Oh, okay. Let's move forward and see the other one then. It's going to be a bit more sociable. Oh, there's a couple more on the left as well. Giraffes everywhere again. Yeah, she does look quite big. The station's a small Schlambi of Lamiti, just close to eastern side of Treehouse Dam, close to the dip. Lamiti.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, I definitely saw some spots on the back. So maybe we should play the collective noun game this afternoon. First one to come back with a collected noun for buffalo and giraffe. Put in the subject line what it is. All you need to do is send that through to questions@juma.com. Now it is thought possibly the giraffe's neck has grown 2 meters in length to increase the body area of the giraffe, and that possibly can help to keep them cool. Okay. Because the giraffe can actually be out and about in the blazing sun when most other animals have to go and find shade. And it could well be something to do with those dark patches. Watching something now as well. So I think there was some research done not too long ago, and they actually found that the dark patches have a lot more blood vessels underneath them, and that can help to release a lot of heat from the blood vessel itself, especially if they come quite close to the surface of the skin. So if they're actually expelling a lot of heat and the lighter areas will reflect heat, that actually might help to keep them cool. And on days where it's very, very cold, you've been with us on a few drives previously and you see us all wrapped up in the morning. It's extremely cold in the morning and late evening, and right through the night during the winter time. And those dark areas will actually help to heat the giraffe up on those cold mornings, because they'll be able to actually absorb a lot of the heat from the sun's rays. Quite an amazing creature, the giraffe. Now, as I was saying before about the ruminants, the buffalo, this is probably the largest ruminant. They also do have the four-chambered stomach. And it also allows the ruminants to gain and keep as much moisture as possible through that system. Whereas if they had the other system, then they can actually lose quite a lot of moisture. Although the buffalo, probably one of the few ruminants that do lose quite a lot of moisture. And they're highly water dependent, whereas the giraffe isn't as water dependent. They can survive on as little as 7 litres over just a few days. As you can see, going to the toilet doesn't stop them from feeding and moving. Some antelope will actually have to stay put and go to the toilet, but the giraffe keeps moving, and that's one of the reasons when you are looking at the dung, quite often giraffe dung is going to be scattered because it has quite a long way to fall, 2 meters or so. So it's going to spread out even if the animal's standing still, but when they're walking it will be spread out over quite a distance. Tiny little pellets, which is quite amazing for an animal that size. Journey of giraffe from Patty, Minerva and Cheryl was it. And Diane wanting to know what the gestation period is for giraffe. Around 14 months. Quite a long gestation period. A dark female there by the looks of it. We saw that one on our right, this one on our left. And to look at it and say it's a male. It sounds like we're having a bit of a lag on the email front. Judging obstinance of buffalo. Who was the first one? Obstinance of buffalo. And I think that Jean, a herd. I think there's a couple of others, but the herd and obstinance I've heard most often. And was it Roz down in, was it Texas? Is it Roz in Texas? No. Rose in Vancouver. I'd like to say close, but obviously not close at all. Hi Rose, saying a tower of giraffe. I've heard tower and journey. Linda also saying tower of giraffe. Lions are sleeping. Steam, they're saying. Lalapan steam means they're fast asleep. The other guides that have gone through to have a look for the lions. But judging by the horns of this female, well, horns or ossicones, you can see they're quite thin. And that's very characteristic of the females because they don't use the heads for fighting. The females don't fight, so they don't need to have robust ossicones like the males do. So the females tend to be quite thin and long, males quite small and fat and very robust when they do fight. But it just goes to show that giraffe can be light and dark. It doesn't really matter too much of sex, although generally males are darker than females. But this female just goes against that rule. Amy! Hi Amy. Amy wanting to know what the purpose of the horns is. No one really knows. I don't know if they do have a purpose. And they're actually one of the few animals, in fact I think it's probably one of the only animals that's born already with the ossicones or horns in place. The antelope and the deer will actually develop them after they're born. Rhinos will develop their horn after they're born. Obviously the rhino horn is a different substance. And hi to Ellen's class. Is it Mrs. Berger? Over there in Brush College. Ms. Berger. Over there in Brush College. Great to have you on board with us again, the first graders. And I hope you're enjoying the giraffes this afternoon and the buffalo earlier on. And apparently you've all been trying to work out how tall the giraffe is. This female that we're watching now, she's probably about 4 meters tall. And some males can actually reach 5.5 meters tall. And I think one on record's probably about 6 meters tall. So I'm about 1 meter 50 something or other. So it'd be two of me stood on top of each other, plus a little bit, maybe about my head. Or maybe the length of this vehicle, although that's not going to help you much either. Or maybe Ms. Berger can get a tape measure and see how many of you it takes to fill 4 meters. You'll lie down on the floor. I wonder if someone can actually do a conversion for us. They're just so graceful. That's one of the things about the giraffe. They're such a large animal. But they probably one of the few animals that, even though their size is quite imposing, they're actually one of the most gentle creatures. It's one of the best things to actually go and walk with Giraffe. See, she's actually watching other giraffe in the bush there. Their eyesight is very important to a giraffe. They usually pick up things very quickly with the eyesight. And you can see those white ears, they stick out incredibly well even as that female's walking away. And that's what she'll be looking at. She'll be looking at the other white ears of the other giraffe. More giraffe. There's another one back there, 2 more in here. There's a few people asking where the giraffes are. They've all come out of hiding. Hi, Mrs. B. Good to have you on board this afternoon. Wanting to know how long a giraffe's tongue is. It's roughly about 40 centimetres, 30-40 centimetres long. And it's got a mind of its own. It's an amazing thing. Quite rough as well. And they're almost like a child. You know, when a child gets to about 2 years old and they need to explore things and the things go into their mouth. Giraffe are a bit like that. Everything has to go into their mouth. Another family of Burchell zebra. There's actually quite a number of zebra here. There's a few more further back in the bush that you probably aren't going to be able to see too well. But each one is a family group with a stallion and a few females. So I suppose in real money, a giraffe's tongue is probably about the same length as a sheet of A4 paper. Is that about right? A sheet of A4 paper is probably about 30 centimetres? So maybe a little bit longer for a giraffe's tongue. In real money. Shame, these poor zebra getting attacked by flies again this afternoon. I've got a couple buzzing around me as well. One thing it does mean with the zebra being, or having a poor digestive system, is they do tend to have to eat a lot more than what the antelope do and the giraffe does compared to the body size. So they do have to spend a lot more time foraging for food. Whereas the antelope and the giraffe, once they've found enough food, they can actually sit or stand and re-chew the cud. So if you see the cows at home in the field, or even the sheep just sitting and chewing, that's what they're doing. They're actually re-chewing what's already been in their stomach. There's a few impala through there. I don't think we've seen impala yet, have we? Are you able to get them, or do I need to pull forward a bit? Pull forward a bit. There's a few rams there, actually.
Good afternoon, mobile station to update.
I wonder if the elephants are still at the dam, because I'm slowly trying to make my way that side. Are they? Oh, awesome. I think we definitely have to make our way that side. Rhino, but not here. Jordan's Dam on Buffalo's Hook. Oh, someone was asking about the Big Five. Who was that? That was the first question. I actually didn't get around to answering it. The Big Five. Who was asking about the Big Five at the start of Drive? Josie. Hi, Josie. Sorry. I think we had a few breakups there. And for anybody else who's not sure what the Big Five are, it is the lion, the leopard, the elephant. It was originally just the black rhino, but now they've changed and it is including the white rhino and the buffalo. So that is the Big Five. Hi Jean, good afternoon to you. Looks like the impala are trying to stretch as far as they can for the leaves there. Hopefully you can just about make him out just above the zebra now. But can't quite understand how a lion can take down a buffalo because of the sheer size of them. So you're looking at about a ton animal. And how do they do it? Well, certainly numbers is going to help, but sometimes you'll only get a couple of animals actually pulling down a buffalo. Shall we continue on and see if we can get to the dam and see those elephants? Unfortunately missed how the Nkahumas put down a buffalo at the time when the Nkahumas actually ran across the road. But usually you do get one actually jumping on the back of the buffalo and the other one either going for the throat and actually crushing the windpipe or going for, I think actually when we arrived, it was quite a young buffalo, but when we arrived the female, one of the females of the Nkahuma, I think it was actually the alpha female, did have her mouth over the nose and over the mouth. More giraffe here, look. Wow. I've lost count already how many giraffe we've seen. I guess we've got a couple of youngsters there. So I think it just depends on how large the buffalo is in the situation and how many lions are actually taking down the buffalo. Will depend on what they go for. But as I say, not an easy meal. And hi to Bree and Brent. Good afternoon to you. And asking a similar sort of question, do we not get nervous when the animals get close to the vehicle, and what stops lions and leopards actually jumping onto the vehicle? And the animals here get pretty used to the vehicles and humans, and it's over a long period of time. So the animals nowadays, the parents would have grown up with the vehicles, so they teach the youngsters that they don't need to worry about the vehicles. And sometimes you will get a skittish animal that doesn't know us, so they tend to run away from the vehicles rather than approach us. But generally, you know, there's nothing really to be nervous about, because they kind of get to realise that we're not a threat to them, so there's no reason why they have to be a threat to us. And when it comes to the predators, obviously we know that they can eat us, but the individuals haven't actually been taught to eat humans. They've been taught to eat other things like buffalo and other prey, antelope and things like that. So even though they are opportunistic, there's still what they see as prey species. Now, humans, even though maybe a long time ago in certain areas, humans may still be in an area where these animals possibly could hunt them, because they've been so used to seeing us in the vehicles. And as I say, there's enough prey, other species out there. There's no reason for them to cross that boundary and actually hunt us. And as I say, they kind of get used to seeing this odd-looking thing, makes a big noise, and then doesn't, and then maybe makes lots of different other noises, and then leaves. And sometimes follows them for a bit. But otherwise, as I say, it's again, there's no need for them to actually follow us or eat us. The time when you do have a problem is if you've got an injured animal or an old animal, something out the norm, when they're not able to catch their own food, or as I say, in other areas where there's, you know, humans actually living with the animals, maybe a little bit more rurally. I mean, there are times when you do hear of lions becoming man-eaters, and again, that there is other parts of that story that sometimes don't often come out. So again, I think there was an area further north in Africa where the lions had actually turned to eating people, but the problem was there was nothing else for them to eat. There were so many people, and the livestock were locked away, and I think where they actually were, a lot of the antelope had been poached and eaten, and so there was actually not really much for them to eat. So of course they need to survive, and unfortunately that's one of the reasons why they turned to it. But in a normal circumstance, a healthy animal, there's no reason for them to eat people. And when we see the big cats here, and even though you know that is a very powerful animal and it is capable of jumping into the vehicle, that respect is still there. And even walking safaris, I think you're asking about walking safaris, one of the best ways to actually see the bush. You can actually hear the bush without the noise of the engine, and you get to some beautiful spots that vehicles can't and shouldn't go. You actually do feel your senses actually become quite heightened, because obviously you're in their environment even more so than when you're in a vehicle. And it is possible to view animals on foot safely, from a distance, from a ridge, from an advantage point. But it's not for the faint-hearted. But certainly the giraffe is probably one of the best animals to go walking with. As I said earlier, they're very gentle, and it's actually possible just to go and sit. And sometimes they'll actually come up and have a look at you. They're quite inquisitive. Cool. And I still haven't had anybody tell me, so I'm actually thinking that there's two people that have done exceptionally well, getting 73 and 75% on the Dun quiz the last 2 weeks of Safari TV. So if anybody has beaten that score over the drives that we had, the number of drives that you watched, where we did a dung or tracking quiz, then do let me know. Otherwise I will be crowning Binky and Cheryl Ann first and second place for the dung and track quiz. They did extremely well though, getting 73 and 75%. So it's your last chance to say. But there will be round 2, so if you weren't able to join in the first time, then I will do it again over the next couple of weeks. So if you tune into as many drives with me as possible, we'll do tracks and dung and signs, and we'll see what the scores are after that round. And you've got to keep a note of them. So people saying they've lost them. That's why I said you've got to write them down. Because I had a feeling the last drive I wasn't going to be able to say. Good afternoon to you. And that is correct. The zebra we're seeing, virtual zebra, otherwise known as plains or common zebra. Welcome on board, Richard. Wanting to know what the differences are between the bush elephant and the savanna elephant. Unfortunately, I've not actually seen bush elephant. Yeah, the forest elephant. Okay, I was actually taking bush elephant as meaning the forest elephant. But maybe you're meaning the savanna elephant. The savanna elephant, wow, this bird wind. Woo! It is very hot, this wind. Things coming off of the escarpment there. And for every 100 meters the air drops, it heats up by about a degree. By the time it gets down into the low feld here, it's very warm, like 2 or 3 degrees warmer. I think we saw smoke earlier. It seems to have died down. The berg winds are not good, especially if a fire is started and the fire's going to spread big time. Just going to add to the heat. So what's the difference between the savanna and the forest elephants? So unfortunately I haven't seen forest elephants, but they do tend to be a little bit smaller than the savanna elephants. And you actually do find that usually with species that live in the forest. So they do need to be maybe a little bit smaller to be able to maneuver around the forest. And they can also be probably a little bit smaller with the temperature regulation as well, because obviously they've got a lot of shade in the forest. I think because of that, if I remember rightly, I think their ears are slightly smaller as well. Still larger than the Indian elephants, but I think their ears are slightly smaller than the savanna elephants. So you might have to correct me on that one. Because that's how elephants cool down, through their ears, and that's why you'll see elephants flapping their ears. It actually helps force wind over those ears. All the blood gets pumped through those blood vessels, which are right next to the surface of the skin, and that allows the temperature of the blood to be cooled down by the the wind as they flap their ears. Please say the elephants are still here. Yes, they are! Look at this! I was wondering when a question like this was going to come through. Terry, over there in the UK. Good afternoon to you, Terry. Wanting to know why the hippo is not part of the big five, because hippo is bigger than the leopard. Oh, it's actually a sad story where the big five came about, and it was actually to do with hunting. And it was the 5 most difficult animals to find and to, unfortunately, kill on land. And the whole reason why the hippo wasn't part of that was because hippos spend a lot of the time in the water, so they're fairly easy to find. And unfortunately, fairly easy to shoot because they stay in the water. So luckily nowadays, it is used for tourism and a positive influence. And that was why the white rhino was first of all not included, because they were usually quite easy to find, whereas the black rhino are quite difficult to find. So a very sad beginning. As I say, at least it's used for good now, for tourism. Oh. Should we go around the other side and catch up with them? Well, they're still feeding. Let's see if they'll allow us to have late lunch with them. Now we need to keep an eye out for Induna, because remember Induna came into this area here and we lost him this morning. Still waiting to hear if there's any more ideas. I'll go with the majority on whether a little bird is a green shank or a wood sandpiper. Just from Sarah. Question earlier about the animals and are we scared when they get close. It's never a given that an animal is going to be relaxed. You always need to make sure as you approach the animal what their behaviour is like and what their temperament is like. Now the younger elephants are more likely to be a little bit cautious of us. The adults are certainly the ones to watch out for, to see how they're going to react to us. Amongst the herd. If they want to do that to us, then that's fine. But you don't want to actually get in the way of them. It looks like they are going to slowly keep moving that way. So maybe we actually need to pull out and go around the other side. There's a little baby right up ahead. Oh, that's cute. But you can see, they're not really taking much of an interest in us. Not really even looking at us. They're probably listening to us. I mean, they do know that we're here. They would have heard the vehicle. Our scent's not going to them, but as I say, they would have heard us by now. Even when we approached quite a distance away, they would have known we were there. Incredible hearing. So not only does the ears help to keep them cool, Actually helps them to hear a lot of the sounds, almost like a satellite dish. I don't know if you can hear that, the long-tailed shrikes are calling, otherwise known as magpie shrikes. Beautiful liquid call. And someone just rumbled. I think they might have their marching orders. Here comes Mama with baby. See, actually, sure. So the one looks like it's actually trying to use its tusk to peel away some of the bark. There's a couple sparring there. That's a bit of an even match. There's a couple of very small babies. Look at that. Oh, cute. I've yet to see a baby learn how to use its trunk. It takes them a good couple of months to actually get used to it actually being there. I think we're just going to go around on the other side. See if we can get better light on them.
Okay, I'm pulling along.
From come in.
That's one England, this is a them.
Okay, copy, thanks. Sounds like possibly Yambili or Dan's actually come out to Buffalo's Hook Dam to go and drink. A little bit of a distance from them. Sounds like there's a couple of vehicles heading that way, so we'll see if we can make our way up that side. See that greeting there. There is actually a lot of etiquette when it comes to being an elephant. Oh, hello, little one. Sneaking behind us there. And actually placing trunks in each other's mouths is a form of greeting. It's almost like their handshake. Are you smelling us? Yeah, I think elephants can be just as curious of us as we are of them. Magic. What's this little guy here? Interesting, Bob. I didn't notice that.
One station in lock of this Madonna English. This is the Leopard on the edge of the Mati. Better to there. One station on top. Thank you very much.
Once these guys disappear, then I think we'll make our way up there. Sorry, little one. Thought you were already in there. But unfortunately, I didn't notice it myself, Bob. And I think Jean was also asking a similar sort of thing about the significance of the leg movement, the leg rocking. And I think Bob was saying that an elephant actually took turns just to grind what would be his knuckle into the dirt, each leg. And I must admit, I've never seen that before. So usually when it's the rocking, so Mark should actually just explain what Bob might mean. So now I think I understand what you were asking. But Jean's talking about the rocking on the foot. And sometimes you actually do see them, and it's almost like an indecisiveness. You just see them sort of rocking the foot. And sometimes it can actually be an early warning if they're going to charge at you. But again, it depends on other things that have happened and other body language. So it can be a sign of that. It can be just indecisiveness. But Mark's saying about what I think Bob was asking is when they're actually digging up the roots. I think I was getting the wrong impression there. But they will actually use the feet to dig up the roots. And that they will do a lot, and especially this time of year, because they do switch to eating roots rather than the grass and the leaves. Well, they still eat those things, but not as much as during the summertime, when obviously they're going to be more nutritious and probably more tasty because of the nutrients being there. So this time of year you do see them digging up the roots, and they will use their feet and their tusks as well. Sometimes you'll actually see them bending down and pulling up a root with their tusk. I don't know if I can squeeze over so we can actually see what he is doing there. It looks like he might just demonstrate. If I move back a little bit, you might be able to see around the corner. There you go, just past the tree. It's a little bit better, isn't it? Him, yeah. Oh, yeah. You can see the other one as well.
I think that my country, I'm putting out the I'm leaving 1 second.
Interesting question there, Mary Jane, in Florida. Why are some animals sociable and some animals not? Very interesting question. And the thing, a lot of it will depend on the role that they have come to acquire or to play in life. And some animals, they don't need to have protection from a family if they have a good way of protecting themselves, somewhere to hide away, and also for gathering food. So it will have to do with the protection and the food quite a lot of the time. And that's one of the reasons why, if you take the cats for example, now to survive in the same area as something else, you have to hold a different role. You have to do something slightly different that no one else does. And with the cats, if you think about the leopard, the cheetah and the lion, they're all cats, they all have similarities, but depending on where they live, they may eat slightly different food. So in some areas, oh, there's baby. Oh, that is tiny. That can't be more than probably a year old. Oh, that's beautiful. So with the, as I was saying, with the cats, you have a range of prey species. The leopard can eat anything from a mouse and may even tackle something as large as a kudu. Check these little two. I'm going to start playing now. A cheetah is going to be a little bit more of a specialist, maybe going for medium-sized antelope, maybe small antelope, but using speed to catch it rather than the element of surprise. So a different technique in actually hunting. So they're going to be hunting maybe, or better at hunting different antelope in the areas where they may overlap with the leopard. And then obviously the lion is the sociable one, and because they're sociable, they're going to be able to tackle much larger prey. So they're going to be going into the buffalo, maybe even the hippo on occasion, and in some areas even the elephant. And it's that banding together to be able to bring down big prey. And what they found actually in tigers fairly recently in Ranthambore Park over in India, generally tigers are solitary. They're larger or just as large as lion in some cases, and yet they're still solitaries, but they're still going to be able to bring down fairly large prey. But what they found in Ranthambore is that those tigers are starting to work together to pull down the Asian buffalo there. So that is actually quite interesting. They've changed their habit and adapted, and I wonder why. Maybe there isn't as much prey, and maybe it's because there could be quite a high density of tigers in that area. So instead of competing, they're actually working together. It could well be that. Well, shall we see if we can try and catch up with Yombili? These guys are moving into, it's quite a thick patch here. And let's see if we can head that way. Let's see if there's a space for us. Yeah, jog, come in. Is there space for us at the Ingwe? Copy, I'm still quite a distance, so I'll make my way there now. The station's leaving the Schnabbev and Love just on the east side of Gary Dam and Mvula Road. Still heading east into the Sept. Okay, Bob. So Bob's saying that when he was seeing the elephant using his knuckles, it was actually near the water's edge and in mud. So it could have been actually trying to dislodge some mud. So they can actually lift up the mud with the trunk and throw it over the bodies. They might do that with the sand as well. So I'm wondering if that was what he was doing. Or maybe he was just trying to crack his knuckles. I wonder if elephants ever try and do that. Remember, elephants actually have the same number of bones in their feet as we have in our fingers. So all the joints that we have, they also have. And their feet are actually quite dexterous. They're able to manipulate them. They're able to climb over rocks, and they can do rock climbing. You'll be surprised where elephants can actually go. You know, in an area like this where it's fairly flat, it's difficult to really comprehend. But if you go to areas where there's mountains, was it Hannibal that took over a herd of elephants over the mountains? When you think about that, you think, how on earth? But it is possible. I've seen elephants climbing extremely steep banks. Some banks like this. I was going to go that way, but maybe we'll go this way. Linda! Hi, Linda! Afternoon. Stay put, Yombili. It's moving.
Yeah, might be the same one that carries this morning from the demo on the way. I'm done to the Yama. I'm gonna do the north. I'm gonna get this morning on the way.
Yeah, it sounds like it could be it sounds like it probably is the same Ingwe from this morning. Sorry, are you saying that the Ingwe there was in Mvula? Oh, okay, it was in Mvula there. Okay, copy, and it was on Yombili or Dan, you saw there this morning. Ah, so it's in Mvula, not on Yombili. And we saw Yombili down there this morning. So Linda wanting to know, can elephants lie down or do they sleep standing up? They can sleep standing up, but they will lie down as well, especially the youngsters. The adults may find a tree or a termite mound to rest against. And elephants take naps rather than take a long sleep. They sleep maybe around 6 hours in total over a 24-hour period. That's kind of an average though. And on the old reserve, the herd got into the routine of actually, they would have a morning siesta about 10:30. So you can guarantee if you go looking for the elephants at that time, unless you knew where they like to sleep, you were going to have quite a hard time of finding them. Wanting to know if the two elephants playing in the road were twins. I very much doubt it. Ooh. Hello. Who are you? It's flown off. There was a bird. I thought it was a yellow-fronted canary, and it wasn't. Interesting. Flew off before I could stop them. Single breakup. But hi to Jackie's class and welcome on board again. Hope you are enjoying the sights and sounds of the African bush this afternoon. It's good to have you on board again. But a quick one hopefully we don't break up. The hand screw on the club's been seen, and not since I saw possibly Shabenzi, the little girl, outside Final Control a few days ago. Any word of them. But I do want to head that way again just to see if there's any tracks around the sea. Said that Mvula is moving, but there are two vehicles with flat tires, so we need to get there pretty sharpish, apparently, before he gets lost in the bush. Kind of the lesser of the two evils. We either go along Buffelsfoot line or this way. Less break up this side. I was in the middle of answering. Deb and Maggie are also asking about twins. Is it common? That's what I was going on to say actually. And Valerie, that was it. I knew I was in the middle of one. I just got completely not. Oh, they're saying come. Oh no. Oh shame. Shame. So,
I'm just gonna roll a bit back there.
whereabouts was he? Did he go in there?
Other side is there.
He's on that side.
Yeah, the best bit was probably you should
Go around. Yeah, no worries.
Sorry about that.
No worries. There he is. We can't go that side because they've got flat tires and we can't actually get past. Let me stop here and hopefully we'll get a long distance view of him. There he is. So, twins in elephants I will come back to, but apparently that was in Mvula. We had confirmed by a couple of people it was Yambili Jordan that we saw this morning. You can see the heart very nicely. So, we're going to have to go around. Oh, there's the lions. Lions were eating as well, drinking as well. Maybe that's why the vultures are actually sitting in the tree here. Sorry, vultures, I'm probably going to disturb you now, aren't I? I'm just seeing if there's anybody else drinking down here. I see him right off in the distance. There he is. One of the Matimbas. And I think that's the one with the scratch over his left eye. he goes. Okay, well let's go around, see if they are out and about, and hopefully we can maybe bump into Mvula as well. There's actually a shortcut somewhere through the back here. Twins in elephants. Vultures sitting there. There's not too much actually here.
There's one called Leopard junction.
Hindsight is a wonderful thing, isn't it? Marvelously. Yeah, I just had a brief visual. He went north of the dam. It looks like towards the Mvula, towards that track. Unfortunately, we're just going to have to keep going around on this road, as windy as it is. The other side. How's that? Both vehicles got flat tyres at the same time. Come on, girl. There's one for you. What is a group of elephants called? Send your answers through to questions@juma.com. Questions@juma.com. come back?
Sometime where is this human?
I don't know. I went all the way around, so I'm just on that 2-track now that's heading towards the Ngala Bamba. But he went south, and it looked like he was then heading. Sorry, not south. He went north. It looked like he was heading towards the Ngala Bamba, but he might have jiggered a bit.
Okay, so that's more to the east of the there.
Right on the northern side.
On that 2 track.
It looked like he was heading towards that way. There's some vultures on the ground. And there's actually a little bit of shade here now. Amazing to see the vultures on the ground here, look. Wow. Yeah, we've got one line there. Oh, we've got some vultures scrapping there on the floor. Got 2 white-backed vultures. Oh. And a hooded vulture. Possibly seeing if there's any scraps around. Ooh, my head's getting in the way now. Oh, there's another one on the ground. Look, he's gonna. Wonder if he's actually gonna try his luck and try and get some meat from the carcass. Hooded vulture. Is Vulture Appreciation Day tomorrow? Yep. I wouldn't risk it if I were you. I'm just going to pull forward just a little bit more so you can actually see. It looks like one line is actually coming to the carcass. I would be surprised if Mvula makes his way over here. I thought we might as well take this little road around. It is extremely hot here still. We'll keep going along this road just in case we bump into him. We'll come back, but the sun is starting to set, so we might see a bit more movement. But great to see the vultures though. Is he trying to cool off a little bit?
So do you have any luck where, you know?
Just by the Ngala, the Bamba, I'm going to continue along this 2-track and just see if I have any luck.
Okay, because I'm on these 2 tracks there.
You know where the Nkombi usually go into the Manzi and cross over? That's where he went. Obviously coming towards that 2-track.
Okay, copy, thanks. I'll try to drive close to the water.
Oh, Texan's coming along that 2-track now. It's got to be so uncomfortable being a lion in this heat. don't know. Do you think you'll be able to get him through that? Can you see him, or do I need to pull forward just slightly?
Which one? The one lying down?
Yeah.
Let's pull him.
So we might be able to show you at least another one. Or another two. Oh yeah, no, fine. Just. I think we're actually in the golden hour. Best light for photography. Just after dawn and just before dusk. So shall we carry? We'll carry on this two track. We'll come back to these guys. Standing by. I can see at least 3. Good visual on one, the other 2 ladder pans.
Okay, copy that, thank you.
Yeah, I'm just going to try that other 2 track, maybe on the fire break, and just see if we can't pick Mvula up.
Yeah, just I tried to go around and that 2 tracks to the dam. So far, no luck. Just breaking to the fire break. I'll try to check to the east along the fire break.
Okay, copy. Bless you. Well, in that case, if he's going to go along that side, we'll go along this side. Just do a quick turn as we turn around.
How long will it take for him to cut light? Maybe 3 or 4 weeks. Yeah, definitely here. The squirrel is traveling and longer the yard to come along.
Ah, okay.
That is better from 22 and 22 Katan. I'll take you to the east and I'll come. Yeah, I'm sure I'll find somewhere here. Sure, okay, copy. Yeah, then I'm gonna shoot through that Ngala quickly, have a quick look at an Ngala and then move on. Okay, no worries, thanks. Thanks, Steve. Car.
Standing by.
Yeah, can I come join you with that Ngala?
Affirmative. I'm just going to drive a bit along the 2 track, turn around and come back. Let's see if I can maybe help find Mvula.
Okay, copy. Tell me about that Leopard.
Oh no, Matato. We managed to get a quick visual as he disappeared. But I'll just do a little bit more along this 2 track and then turn around, so I'm pointing in a better direction as well.
Okay, copy.
See open beak trying to cool down a little bit. The hooded vulture, you can see quite nicely that beautiful pink face. The white-headed vulture, you'll see a white crown on top. And even just holding the wings out, again, just allowing the air to flow over them, trying to cool them off a little bit. Sometimes you'll even see vultures actually facing away from the sun and the head down with the wings out, also trying to cool off.
making my way to the Sept.
Beautiful. Wander along here, and so we'll turn around just so we're actually at a better angle as well. So I think Texan's doing that road at the back now. And if my uncle's watching, let's say a quick happy birthday to my uncle. And my mum. So she's going to try and watch this afternoon, and hopefully she managed to see the elephants. It always seems to be the way. Whenever I see the elephants, she always misses it.
So we will cut time.
Okay, so Mvula, where did you go? You might just have gone. So you might have actually just come straight up here.
Not sure for now, but it looks like we're going south.
It's actually a very nice drainage line in here. Quite a few nice spots for him to hide. Franklin's down there, so if they're not calling, then he's not here. I was worried about him. Oh, Deb! Hi, Deb! That just reminds me, when we drove past Chelapan, and I forgot to stop on the way back through. Deb's asking, do we ever get a chance to see baby vultures? And I did notice the vultures are back on the nest at Chelapan. What would be actually the nest, the Jackalberry on Vulture's Nest Road. I'll have to try and show you that. There's a pair that nest there every year. I think they actually move from one tree to another. So they do nest in that same area every year. know if hyenas are closely related to cats, why do they look so much like a dog? And I can't really answer. But the reason why they think it's closely related to cats is to do with the skull. There's somebody chattering there.
I'm standing for him.
I thought I might be able to speak there. Oh well, where's the try? You might. But let's head back to London. It is cooling off. So why is the hyena classified with the cats? I think you might have just lost me. Saying a lot of it's to do with the skull and the similarities with the skull and the differences between the hyena skull and the cat and the dog skull and the similarities between the cat skull and the hyena skull. I did bring my skull, my replica leopard skull on drive once, so I'll try and bring it on again and show you those differences because it's actually easier to show you rather than just try and explain it. It's to do with the bone in the ears and at the base of the skull mainly. But it is odd, it does look like a dog. Obviously the claws are out as well. Claws are out constantly. Just like a dog's. Yeah, I'm going to come into that rock again. Oh, slender mongoose. Just here. I think he was actually hunting something. Oh, has it gone off that way? Oh, that's a shame. Oh, Mvula, we wanted to see you. Never mind. He might pop out. He might even make his way this side. Maybe he's actually hanging around. Vultures. See if he can actually go looking. Moving dog. And their funny stance, a lot to do with they actually carry a lot of muscle in the neck and a lot of muscle in the head. So they have very powerful fronts, but they don't really have too much going on at the back. So it could be because they developed these strong muscles in the front, they actually grew slightly longer legs. To actually aid with them being able to use that muscle and obviously being able to drag food. So I think it was probably the increase in the front leg. So it could have been, I suppose, the decrease in the back legs and not using it as much as the front. The lion in the kill now. The lion lying next to the kill. They're lying in a spot that I really would not want to get too close to there. Are you going to allow me to come this way? To get to him. It's not so much him actually going for us, I think he'd actually move away more, so I actually don't want to disturb him. If I can squeeze in close to the tree here, hopefully I won't disturb him. Hello, beautiful boy. He's getting very irritated by flies. I think they're really getting bothered by flies now. I'm just thinking, if I move forward a little bit more, we might actually be able to see him. Yeah, the other male's actually starting to eat a little bit more of the carcass. Let's see if I can just roll forward just a little bit more. Can you see him at all there? Not really. Yeah, you can. there's any pondies watching, I've got to say a very big thank you to the postcard that was given to me by Colin. And I did pull a very blonde moment on myself. And I thought I'll put it in my diary so I remember to bring it over with me. And I put the wrong diary in my suitcase. So hopefully when it gets sent over, I will be able to bring it out on drive. And the list that Brian wrote all the names on. Say hello and hugs. Ooh. Looks like the other two boys are also starting to wake up, so we might see them coming over to the kill too. So all we need now is a rhino to come strolling by, and actually we'll have a big 5 drive. So where is that rhino? Oh, there we go. He's actually getting up to eat from the carcass now. Again, just as soon as that sun goes down, it's slightly cooler. And that's when you do tend to get more movement by the lions. What would be awesome would be to have them roaring. It's something very special to hear a lion roar and to actually watch them as well. I think this is the male that we actually saw go down to the water to drink. And just keep a watch on this male here, because if he's getting irritated enough by flies, he might just stand up and move, which it looks like he is doing. He's getting very irritated. Go, yep. Ooh. There's a little bit of a growl from the male at the carcass now. I'm going to see if we can get in from that side. See, there's both of them, they've got their backs to us now. Now, what I was saying earlier about Mvula watching the vultures, he's not alone in that sense. The predators are opportunistic. So if there's the opportunity to steal someone else's meal, sometimes do take that opportunity. So with the cackling of the hyenas this morning, if there is a hungry lion or leopard, you may just draw them in and see what all the commotion is about. But also watching vultures. And lions may follow vultures if they see them descend. Because again, that can mean that there, or usually does mean that there's a carcass and it could be a free meal. Especially if there's enough of them, they might be able to overpower whoever's meal it belongs to. I know that I've gone around the houses, he's got it. Never mind. And Cheryl Ann. Asking what the hole next to the vulture's eye was earlier. You saw the holes in the beak, obviously the nostrils, but what's the hole just by the eye? And that's its ear. Shall I just roll forward just slightly because you might be able to see him a little bit better? No. Thought I might be able to. I actually got quite a nice picture of the vulture sitting in the tree, so what I'll try and do is put on Facebook tomorrow a close-up picture of the vulture with the hole for the ear, so you can see it quite nicely. It looks like this male that's feeding might be quite a dominant male. It could just be that the others are just so hot and bothered they can't be bothered to actually fight with him. There's still enough food, so they don't really need to fight over it, being so hot and bothered. And it is actually dropping to quite a nice temperature now. It's about 25 degrees according to my little thermometer. angle like that. That might be better, hey? Right angle like that. Hmm?
You're fine like this, I think, if you angle which way?
I'm going to try and angle that way. Maybe. I'm just saying that you might just move the carcass. So the problem is there's a couple of trees. So depending on where they drag the carcass. Okay, if he's going to settle down there then. Let's try it. So I don't usually like moving around too much around the cats. Let's try and give you a slightly better view. Hmm? Yeah. That's it, pull it more out into the open. And if anybody was wondering, this is live. We're broadcasting from here in the beautiful game reserve of Djuma, here in the South African bush, close to the world famous Kruger National Park. And actually Sabi Sands is world famous, especially for its leopard sightings. But for anybody joining us, this is the Matimbas, a new coalition who's moved into the area fairly recently from the Manuletti. And I think they'll still be patrolling the area that they still had up in the Manuletti. But this coalition is usually 6, and apparently the 6th member, who is actually missing part of his tail, and they call him the Induna, the chief. He's actually busy mating with other females, possibly some of the Nkahuma pride, and Mark might have to remind me of the other pride. The skybirds, that's it, skybirds. Hi Brenda, over there in Louisiana, welcome on board. And if anybody would like to send through any questions, it's questions@juma.com. And how often have you actually sat and watched a lion eating his fill from a buffalo? Brenda, this depends on Mark's asking if you can zoom out just a little bit. Yeah. So how long will they stay with the kill? And they'll probably stay with it as long as they can. Standing by. Station interested in the Ngala? I must have misheard. But their stomachs are highly acidic. Hydrochloric acid actually in their stomachs. And that pretty much will kill anything, including bacteria. Very, very little will survive that high acidic stomach. And quite interesting, I was actually reading today that it's actually that the digestion occurs in the small intestine. So I think Alan was actually talking about it, or asking about it. So the whole job of the stomach is to actually liquidize everything, break everything down so that digestion can actually occur in the small intestine. So they are capable of eating pretty rotten meat, although I think hyenas are probably the winners at that. They're able to feed on incredibly rotten meat. And they will clear up a carcass, including the vultures that have been around. So if there's any bits left on the bone, so they won't be able to eat the ribs and things like that. They'll just eat all the soft tissue. And the bits that are left, the vultures will pick at. They will eat most of it. Hi Shirley. Wanting to know, do cats ever vomit up their food? And occasionally if something gets stuck or it's too big to go through the digestive system, they can throw it up, especially if it's something like bone. Oh, shame. Mark's saying, unless they eat a... Ooh, nightjar. Where did that nightjar come from?
It just landed like right next to the stomach content.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
Nightjar landed next to the stomach content, apparently. I just saw movement and then it flew off. I kind of realised maybe it wasn't the best idea to land there. But Mark was saying, unless you're eating... Oh, I missed that. Ah, something I didn't think about. Mark saying insects to the stomach content, so probably... I was thinking more that the lines were still there, though. Probably not the best idea in the world. What I was chuckling at is Mark was saying, unless they eat a Franklin too quick and Mum calls, and they have to get there fast, so they regurgitate what they've just eaten. Okay, I'm going to move that side again. Mark's saying he thinks it was actually in Duna, one of the first kills. I don't know if you can hear, but there is a few growls coming from those two males. Now, I was saying earlier about working together, and once the kill's been made, then it is every line for himself. So, especially when the kill's just been made, it can be quite a vicious event. Hi, P. Turner. Good afternoon to you. Wondering if there's a special pattern that cats use to eat their kills. And usually they'll start on the softer tissue. So usually the belly or the anus is usually a good point of entry. And generally the organs will be eaten. You get quite a lot of the vitamins and nutrients from the organs. And then obviously the softer tissue, the muscles. And if you watch carefully, you'll see actually the male on the right, he's starting to lick. And just like your house cat, they've got incredibly rough tongues. And that helps to loosen the meat from the bone, and maybe even a bit of the skin as well. So wherever they're licking it, it just helps to loosen it a little bit. Okay, internet's getting a little bit dark now apparently. So if you can open up a little bit more. If you
It's
can.
on 50.
Oh, okay.
18 and 2.2. It's
Okay,
completely black.
we've got everything as open as possible, so I suppose I have to put the spotlight on them. Yeah, everything's as high and low as it can possibly go.
You can open the shutter speed up to 25, but
Oh yeah, I can give that a go.
just goes a bit horrible.
I'm actually starting to hear some buzzing going on from insects. Just one or two, not too many. You see those tails flicking, getting very irritated. It is a bit of a riddle. Hi, Bobby in Florida. Saying, if there's 5 or 6 lions and 1 buffalo kill, how many days will it take for them to finish the kill? Why is a raven like a writing desk? I never got the answer to that one. But it shouldn't take them too long. I will do it at some stage. Just want to see what they're going to do. Don't want to miss anything in case they do have a go for each other.
The weird one.
Did you? I thought I heard
Yeah,
something.
no, you did. The lions did as well.
Yeah, I think they were distracted. Okay, while they're distracted, I am going to move because I would like to try and see both of them. Just didn't want to move earlier, just in case if they did have a spat. Just in case we missed it. So how many days? Well, we probably got to the kill the morning it was made. It was possibly made early morning yesterday. And they're probably about a good halfway through, if not 2/3 of the way through the carcass. 5 lions have been feeding on it. So maybe give them possibly another day on it. Just depends on how much they eat tonight. If they eat most of it tonight, then they probably will leave it in either in the morning, or they'll sleep it off and then move later on tomorrow afternoon. And Patty, good to hear from you, Patty, asking about the wound on the eye. And who else was asking about the wound on the eye? Was it Brenda? I'm sorry if it wasn't Brenda, but Patty was asking about the eye, and if it's just a superficial wound, is it going to become a problem? Sorry, I thought I was hearing something again. But I think, Patty, I think it is just a superficial wound. Oh, here comes the third brother. That's the hippo. From what I can see, I think possibly they had a spat either during the first part of the feeding or maybe even during the hunt itself. It looks like he might have just got a claw just across the top and the bottom of the eyelid, but it doesn't look like the eye's damaged. You seem to be looking at us okay. So I think it is more superficial than anything. It just looks bad because it's just fresh. And there's the third boy coming in. It's so funny watching them when they are feeding, and you do have this kind of dominance hierarchy, especially as say the amount of food goes down. But certainly watching cubs when they get to that age where they're no longer allowed to come and feed. Because when cubs are young, they will actually be allowed to come in and start feeding, even if there's males present, especially if it would normally be the males that have sired the cubs. But as they get older, they stop being tolerated, and they go through a stage of actually being punished if they do try and eat first. And I remember watching one cub, and she was as bold as brass. And she would try her luck, and you could see her inching closer and closer. And you could just see the male just getting irritated with her, and all of a sudden, she was probably about only half a metre, and he swung round and actually caught her with his paw. But she actually tried to back off, and she had nowhere to go. She'd actually penned herself in, and there was a few bushes, and she tried to run backwards into the bush. And I think he actually, it was one of those. I don't think he realised how much force he put behind it, but she was quite dazed by it. I mean, he didn't do any damage to her, but it's always quite interesting to see them sort of edging closer and closer, and it's quite interesting to see that other male. It's almost as if he's done that, he's sort of sat as close as he dares and pretends that he's not interested, but actually he's just waiting for an opportunity to maybe try and sneak another piece of meat. I've seen female lionesses do that as well when there's not too much meat to go around, and they'll sit And they'll sort of look away and pretend they're not interested, but they're just keeping their eye on that possibility. See, look, he's going to sneak a little bit. No! That's exactly what I mean. He just got a little bit too close. As he was pulling it away, his right paw just came out, I think, just to see if he could actually sneak a little bit. A little growl just put him right on that one. There you go, see him using the tongue there. And then you'll notice that they actually turn to the side and use the cheek teeth. Now in cats that's also very important. Dogs will do it, but not to the extent that the cats do. Dogs will often bite larger chunks off as well and just swallow them. But the cats tend to chew and use those carnassial shearing pair, the molar and premolar in the top and lower jaw. And because of the way they sit, they actually shear against each other and keep both sides sharp. So they've got a nice, it's almost like a couple of knives in the mouth. Hi Megan, and good evening to you. And asking about losing the tail. Now, we do have a lioness that lost her tail, and apparently most of it got bitten off by a hyena, and then she actually bit the last part off herself apparently because it got infected, and now it's nice and healed. But she has no tail. Now that might hinder her in communication, but I'm sure she has adapted by now with that. But you're wanting to know about the male who's lost the tip of his tail, and will he have a similar problem with communication, or is it the amount of tail that's missing? And I'd say probably it wouldn't hinder him as much as maybe the communication with BB, the female that's lost a tail, because even with most of the tail still there, they can still flick it, they can still show aggression. I mean, you could see the irritation of the flies. I mean, they were actually flicking the tail, but when they get irritated with each other, as you might have seen around the carcass now, the tail starts flicking to the side, and if they actually going to charge, they start flicking the tail up. So actually that movement in the tail and actually showing the tail itself will show communication. And the cubs will tend to follow the little black tip of the tail, especially on the mothers. So a bit like the white tip to the tail on the leopard. So I think probably in his instance, I doubt he's going to miss it too much. And obviously balance as well, because I mean the tail can act a bit like a rudder, and also for balance when obviously they're hunting or even climbing trees. So I think BB will struggle with that, but it won't stop her doing it if she wants to. Funny enough, I can't really smell much. Can you?
No.
No.
I could smell it earlier.
Yeah, I could smell just a little bit, but even there, though it's been out in the sun, it's almost like it's probably getting biltonged, becoming biltong now. Dried meat. In fact, I think the carcass this morning with the leopards was a little bit more smelly. But even then, it wasn't that bad. Hi Angie, and a few other people suggesting we call the male with the scratch above his eye Scar, like the male lion in Lion King. I just hope he doesn't have the character of the male in Lion King as the baddie. Do I take it from that, Mark? You've never watched? Have you ever watched the Lion King? Oh, I'm gonna have to lend it to you. Mark's not watched it, he's only seen snippets. I don't know if each of them have names. So apparently it's only one that's got the name. So I suppose if everybody wants to call him Scar, we can call him Scar. He'll be known as Scar by us. I can suggest it at the Rangers meeting, see if everyone else will want to call him Scar. But apparently there has been a few suggestions. So if we find out that he has another name, we might have to call him a different name. But I have no objections. Oh, sure, time has flown. So Nina, good afternoon to you, Nina. I'm wanting to know how old they are. And I think maybe someone can help me out. I think that there has been a little bit of information I just haven't got around to having a look at. My guess would be probably about 4, maybe 5 years old, judging by the mane growth. Where are you going? What are you seeing? I wonder if he's going to go and check out that noise. He might just roll over and go to sleep again. Oh, here we go. As soon as the other male left, he's just come in now. I just want to have another check of where that male's gone. Yeah, no, he's going. Oh, I want to split myself in two now. He might just be going down to the water to drink. Ooh. I just heard Mvula. Just heard him soaring. Shall we go and follow him? Send that through. Linda. Hi Linda. Thanks for sending that through. I think I told everybody on Game Drive this morning as well. I heard the same story from the guys last night, and I actually forgot to mention it this afternoon. So thanks for sending that through. Apparently Mvula was calling, and he was actually calling pretty close to where Tandy, who we know as Siseka, and her cub. I'm sure everyone will be pleased to hear the cub is still around. I think some people are a little bit worried about that, the fact that he hadn't been seen. So he is still around, and unfortunately nearly didn't live to see another day, because Mvula was calling, walked right into the Salala females. So the Salalas gave chase, and I think Tandy or Siseka actually ended up in the tree, where she was actually balancing on two branches. Apparently the branches were quite away, so she had two paws here and two paws back here, and she was quite uncomfortable by the looks of it, or by the sounds of it. And little boy actually ran with his son, with his father. He actually darted off. And apparently, if he hadn't have got up the tree in time, and if he had made a mistake, that could have been him fallen at the jaws of the Salalas. So quite an epic one last night. I'm hoping maybe he made his way out onto the other side. This is the open area that the rhinos like to sleep in. For the last 15 minutes of drive, see if we can catch up with Mvula. On the other side, so we might have to drive around again. Fantastic. So I just had word that my uncle and my mum are actually watching now. So happy birthday, Neil. Hope you enjoyed the lions. And hopefully I can find you a leopard. I think we might have to try right on the other side though. Hello hippo. Do you see where the leopard went? need now is for him to start soaring again. Nyala Road North, I think. Ah, thanks Joanne. The big Nduna is supposed to be around 6 years old. So I think the rest probably are around 5 or 6. Sorry, 4 or 5. Words out. So just judging by the main growth, probably between 4 and 6. Depends on if they full brothers and they all came from the same litter. Or whether they came from different mothers, maybe slightly different times, but the same pride. But if you have been us for a little while and have enjoyed what you've been seeing, I would like to see the drives continue. Please, please, please let everybody you know about them. Ask them to join us on a live safari here in Juma Game Reserve in South Africa. I did. I got my family involved. And to be part of this unique experience, send in a question, let us know what you're thinking, how you are. Enjoy the African wildlife live. But let everybody you know about us. And if you'd like to keep up with the animal, the Facebook updates on the I will do that when I get back. I might just lose you through this dip here. You're holding on, Becky. There we go. Sounds like towards they're going to do through Big Dip and hopefully we'll be back with you. Hopefully, it sounds like he's moving. Go ahead. Okay, we should be back. Ah, there we go. So yes, as I was saying, tell everybody. And hopefully we get enough viewers that we can keep this. Okay, we'll stop here. How are we now? Ah, okay. Let's see if we can hear him again. I think he might just be moving a little bit too fast. I wonder if that's what the lions heard. That's what they were watching or listening for. Okay. Well, I'm going to make my way back to... I was hoping you might just be here. We'll make our way back to Buffalo's Hook Dam and see if that lion has come down to drink at least. See if the lions come down to drink. Oh. Wonderful. That's area. Typical. Let's have a quick look, seeing as we're here. Down at the water's edge. I'm not seeing any eyes. Oh well. It was worth a try. As I say, I was hoping he was going to be there. Well, I hope you have enjoyed this afternoon's safari. Sorry we couldn't find the rhino. But I thought it was just quite nice just to sit with the lions. And as I say, sometimes when you sit you actually learn a lot more about the individuals or even just the animal itself, just by observing. So I'd rather do that than trying to run around and try and find one of, or another animal. But definitely fantastic to spend time with them. And we don't know how long they're going to be around here. I'm hoping they're going to be more resident than other coalitions that have been here before. But who knows, fingers crossed that'll happen. I'm hoping they're going to be around there in the morning for Mark. And there was word on the radio that there was 2 cheetah somewhere down towards, I think, Torchwood, maybe a little bit further. But if we're lucky, they might come this way. So that would be awesome if they do for tomorrow morning. Keep your fingers crossed. So definitely lots to look out for tomorrow. And obviously Karoo and the cubs, we haven't seen them for a couple of days either. But thanks, Becky, for all your camera work. Mark back in final control for sending through all the questions. My name's Tara, and you've been watching Juma Safaris. So take care, and see you again soon. Oh, and one more thing. We're starting at 6 o'clock tomorrow. I did forget to mention on Drive. 6 o'clock start tomorrow, because it is now nice and light. So do join us at 6 o'clock Central Africa time. Bye for now.
Good evening, everyone. Oh, hang on a sec. Sorry, just chatting to Tara on the radio. Well, good evening, everyone. And this is Mark in Final Control. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. And hopefully tomorrow, well, it's a pretty hard day to beat after what Tara did today. Some pretty amazing footage from Becky. Love those vulture shots, such incredible animals. And hopefully we'll have some more opportunities like that tomorrow. I'll be out, Becky on camera. Tara will be in my seat here in FC, sending me the questions for a change. Some questions I didn't get to, I'm sorry if I didn't. Sometimes we just don't get to all of them. We are getting a lot more than we used to in the past, which is great. And it's a kind of a juggle trying to keep the content flowing on the subject we're watching and keeping the questions flowing. So I'm sorry if I didn't get to your questions, but please don't be discouraged. I think is the best word to use there. Don't be discouraged. Just send them again tomorrow or next time Tara's driving in 2 days' time. So don't worry about it if your questions weren't answered. It's not that we select questions over people. We select the questions over their content and what we're watching and what the presenter's talking about. And sometimes, I know for both Tara and myself, sometimes we can talk a lot about a particular question or a particular subject, and it does take up a lot of time. So sometimes we don't get to some of the questions. But let's see what we can do tomorrow. Do have a wonderful day. Do have a wonderful evening. It's a weekend for all of you in the US. You've got a long weekend, Labor Day weekend. I hope you can have a wonderful weekend. And a lot of people will be mopping up or still waiting for the waters to recede along the east coast. Some pretty devastating damage having been done by Irene. Some really old bridges covered, those wonderful old covered bridges in Vermont, 160 years old, washed away in seconds. Very sad. So I hope you're all okay on the East Coast and mop-up operations can start soon. From all of us here at Juma, good night and take care. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Or in a few minutes if Tara finds something on her way home. Bye.